this is where we're gonna play some music and video ourselves right there.
Okay.
Just privately.
Berries are here.
Oh, I'll be your huckleberry. I knew this would be here. Dun, dun.
I'm like, I'm gonna fall down.
So, Emily and I
Hi.
are at Lindale Park Nature Trail in Edmonds, Washington.
Oh, and it's nice.
Her clairs are on fire, and we got to capture it on video. That's what
I
we're
know.
doing today.
Hi, I'm Emily. I have some clairs happening.
Let's go get them. What is our theme today?
Our theme is self-acceptance and learning what our truth is.
Funny thing, what'd you call it?
Coming to terms and or accepting your truth.
Accepting your truth. So I liken this, the thing that's resonating with me at this moment is, if you can hear it off in the distance, I think there's a school and a playground with little kids.
There's something.
There's a bunch of kid sounds over there.
Lots of kid sounds.
So as we embark into our spiritual growth and all of the things encompassing that for everyone, in general, there's a healing component that is kind of foundational to all of it, and that's unique to the individual to step into the healing. And things I've learned recently is the healing kind of puts us back into the undamaged childlike state of existence, which is kind of a goal, if you will, as far as to get to the healing.
Yeah,
and I find it interesting. These little kids are all over there, and they're all just in bliss and glee, flailing around on a playground without a care in the world and all the stresses that we carry around as adults.
The innocence and purity of them is really nice to be around, because everyone, as we grow older, we get bogged down or weighed down by different experiences, and hearts harden and people get bitter or frigid, or whatever word you'd like to use. And so being around kids reminds us that we're all still our child self in there somewhere, and that it's okay to melt that away.
It's a pretty pure state. It's, I guess, ultimately to get back to that pure state of childlike innocence. And there's something about being around little kids that see they're not damaged yet, and they don't have the hardened heart, and they don't have the damaged DNA. And then older people on their last chapter of life kind of come back into a childlike form again sometimes. And it's a beautiful thing that little kids and the ultra elderly beginning and end life stages are kind of the same state.
So then what happens in the middle? And so this is kind of what we wanted to talk about today, is to give you permission, by way of example, I guess, that you don't have to become bitter and closed off, and that it's okay to reconnect with that purity and that innocence and that, and to allow yourself to have that fun and that joy, and laughing and screaming in the background. It's okay to be that free in your life. And so just to walk you through the steps, or at least some of the steps that I've come through myself in my own process. And so I just wanted to share in hopes to help you guys.
I'm finding it interesting as I've learned to engage into the things I'm stepping into and the relationships that I have and everybody that I'm close to and I love interacting with. I'm beginning to step through seeing the damaged adult carrying all these things that kind of pile on over time and just create all these health problems and psychological and spiritual problems throughout. But I can see the difference of all of that, and underneath that is still a little kid in there, and there's still a pure state in everybody that can be accessed.
Yeah, so I more acknowledge that they have layers of pain and things that they haven't, that they feel they need to hold on to, and they allow it to shape them, versus because even I've said people seem damaged or broken, or something, they're just in this state, and everyone is perfect the way they are.
It really is.
It's all in divine timing, because every single experience has lessons attached to it. And the name of the game is to learn and keep going, learn and let go. We were never meant to hold on to every single thing that happened to us. And so that is how people get sick, is they keep holding on to the stuff that happens to them.
So letting go, which you share constantly with me and everybody around you, just letting go is so freeing. Letting go of control and expectations, all of the things we try to hang on to, all of that is just preventing all the growth and the lessons from being revealed and all of that to happen.
Yep. I feel like Jessica knows about this place.
Jessica seems to know about all the places.
I feel like she knows about
I wonder what kind of performances they have here.
Oh, a whole bunch. Shakespeare in the Park and stuff.
Is there like a lot of things that happen here like that?
I don't know.
God, this is
I
cool.
haven't checked in years.
Wow,
Hi, Tree.
this is great. Angry white man?
They actually, or I read it on the internet that they actually, whoever
they are,
figured out what would fix the country, and it was to create a caravan and ship out all the
angry white men.
The old angry white men.
Oh,
and I'm
my
like, oh God. We'll let nature take its course. We don't have to ship them out, because I don't think
they all go away eventually.
They're gonna shoot us.
You were mentioning something the other night about how we were confronted with situations and that challenge us, a lot of times based in fear of the unknown, or fear of maybe a perceived potential consequence, and so we avoid them sometimes rather than just stepping into our authentic whatever.
So standing up for your truth is really tapping into your heart space and voicing that and being able to stand like a pillar, and no matter what the reactions of those around you are, whether it is anger or whatever you have to say makes people angry, or they makes them happy, or like whatever the reaction is to your truth is still your truth. Like it is what it is, and your truth comes from your heart. So these are still compassionate words, and it's expressing intimate things about yourself that we've been scared of expressing before. We're scared. We don't express ourselves fully and authentically and completely because we're so afraid of the reactions that we're going to get.
So that what you're feeling inside and your truthness and your authenticity still exists. It's whether you stand in it or suppress it to feed into someone else's potential reaction or some perceived consequence that we've got fearfully conjured in our head, real or not. Sometimes both or either.
So speaking your truth can come from a compassionate place. It doesn't have to be, because it's truth, it doesn't have to be blunt. It doesn't have to, you don't set out and to make people angry about it. But
like taking a position or stabbing a dagger in something, you just kind of lovingly let it be revealed.
Yes, and then to also you can preface that it is a sensitive subject for you, so you can only hope and set the stage that the person that you're expressing to can meet you with compassion and not be angry, and to even have that conversation where I have not shared this with you previous to this because
of
my fear.
Yeah.
And so if you could help me conquer my fear and just listen calmly, this is what I have to share.
So then the real power comes from that individual to express that, is having no regard for what the other person may or may not do with that information. You begin to find your own strength because you're standing tall, and you're doing it because you're just sharing and growing, not doing it because of anybody else or anything else that might come as a byproduct of that, right?
And you can only hope that the people that you're expressing to want to grow with you, and if they still cannot cope with what you've expressed as your truth, then it's
Here we
just,
go.
it's a reflection on how much they know themselves and
The other person?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so if there's not space for if you tell me something and I just can't cope with your truth, that means I'm not in tune with my own truth.
Wow, that's really interesting.
So don't, but it's still your truth.
Mhm.
You, no matter what, own your truth. Own it.
We've had this dynamic as friends as our relationship has developed. We're different people. We're dimensionally different. Our interests are intermingled a ton, but some things aren't, and that's okay. And sometimes you speak your truth, and I love you, and I authenticate when you do that, because it's beautiful that you're doing that with me, and it doesn't change our friendship. It just more things become revealed that we learn about each other, and agreeing to have differences and being, have different interests or whatever.
And it's way more interesting that way too.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
Why do we
it's
want to be the same? I already know me.
Well, and then it's just to have someone wanting you to be a certain way, like, oh my gosh, there's already one of me and there's one of you. Like, what is happening in there?
One of me's enough.
I want to know. But I want to know. I don't need you to, like, why would I have any expectation for anything about anybody? Like, it's like I don't know, one of those surprise Easter egg things or something. Like, you don't know what's in there, and that's the best part.
It's really one of the beautiful things about just being alive and having a life is these new discoveries all the time. And some things resonate and some don't, and that's okay.
Oh, and so it's that release of control of other people is so freeing, because I'm like, oh, it's just you don't have your claws in anybody else, about them, nothing. Like, it allows this flow, and people congregate towards it. They're not used to that freedom.
Yeah.
To just be themselves. But yeah, like you said, it's like the most exciting part of living.
Yeah.
Is getting to know people in their true authenticity. We just have to be willing to listen and hear them in their truth, and like break down those barriers of the fear of reaction.
Okay, so here's another dimension. As we're enjoying getting to know other people, now you take it back to yourself. This exercise and being able to start to stand in your own authenticity is all of a sudden you start finding yourself and discovering yourself, because you're not pandering to other people or anything. And holy moly, wow, all these beautiful things you didn't know just start shining. And then it gets reciprocated back, because people see that and they're like, wow, I didn't know you had this or that. And all these things just start to shine in you and develop.
Oh, you start finding yourself, and your activities change. Your job might change.
A lot more room for activities.
Room for activities. And oh my gosh, there's just, and the people that are drawn to you are great.
Now here we go, because all of a sudden you start attracting different frequency people, and then everything changes, right?
Over even the last 48 hours, I have met the coolest people ever. I did my first time vending for Seattle Natural Awakenings, and that was super fun. I learned a lot.
Necklaces.
Oh, with the necklaces. I know, I'm not even wearing one. I'm a terrible marketer. Not really. But, and then the next day I went to Blue Moon Spirit Psychic Fair in Edmonds, and I met, just that whole room was just filled with this resonance, and it was just, they were ready, I was ready to just interact with all of them and like get to know them. Like, I made friends and new friends that previously, without knowing myself and without claiming my truth and who I am and my path for my life, I was not ready to meet them and have the conversations that I had. I had to be in a state of owning my life path and just what is before me. And then once I surrender to that process and to allow it to come up and isn't it so funny? We're literally ourselves and we don't know ourselves.
Most people don't.
This is what we got.
Yeah.
And we've been with ourselves for, since birth and beyond.
Well, before that, yeah.
And beyond.
bringing it forward. I've discovered what you're saying too, as you step into meeting new people that would say they're your tribe or whatever, or you just start finding your family or whatever, but it's almost like you've left you've been living in a foreign country where you're speaking a different language that's not your native language, and all of a sudden you step into these other dimensions and you attract all these people like you just explained, and all of a sudden you've just crossed to another continent and it's back to your homeland and everybody speaks your native language, and as you're discovering your native language,
it's
like,
so good.
what is this?
Oh, it's so good. It's just like this huge sigh of relief that and it brings hope, and yeah, you congregate, and then, but to be willing to congregate, you have to be willing to express yourself and your true authenticity. Like, the truer you are, the more you will find other humans that are true at the same level, and they sync up with you much better and more cohesively than previously. And then you don't have to change yourself. You don't have to ever do anything you don't want to do. Like, I don't know, it's a more raw, open, vulnerable space, but with that, it meets and meshes so much more nicely, and more...
Everything's just flowing.
Oh, it's pure.
There's no resistance. And then you're back to the little kids.
And then we can be little kids together, because little kids, they don't care. They're not hiding themselves, and as we grow into adults, we hide ourselves with that building fear of those reactions and stuff, and because we crave acceptance, but we're actually doing it counterintuitively,
trying to find it elsewhere first.
Well, yeah, we crave connection, and yeah, it's just...
So connecting to yourself.
Connecting to yourself will help you connect to other people.
Which is a lot of what this is about, what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And then we're back to our pure state. At some point, you can actually get there. I had an experience a few weeks ago with Jessica and Chance. He's like 4. We're out on the beach, and I found myself kind of playfully crossing these logs and everything on the beach for like an hour, and I realized, wow, I've been skipping. I literally was skipping. I'm a grown man, and I was skipping like a little kid for the first time in forever. I'm like, wow, I feel like a little kid. I've never felt like a little kid in so many years. And since I was a little kid, I'm like, that was really cool to observe myself and realize, wow, this is really pleasant.
Nice. It's that judgment, because that comes with self-judgment too. And that's that perceived reaction from others that we create inside of ourselves. We start judging ourselves on how we think others are perceiving us. And so we act accordingly, we dress accordingly, we speak accordingly, we drive the cars accordingly, like, oh my goodness. And so when you release that self-judgment to accept your truth, yeah, you can act more freely
Freedom,
and be more like little children, and play and be silly and make funny sounds and silly faces and dance. Really weird.
Why don't we go over to the playground and watch some kids for a couple minutes? You want to check it out?
I don't know. Is that allowed?
Oh yeah, that might be frowned upon by their parents. Strange people filming them. Yeah, we'll just enjoy it from afar.
Oh, we caught it.
Yeah. Good for you.
See, but that's the judgment. People think that as we grow in years away from childhood, they think that we cannot go back to there, where we actually just really want to embrace the childlike energy and the freedom and the free flow and the giggles. Some people think it's all weird, and it's not weird.
It is weird because it's foreign to where they're at.
It is.
The perception is weird, yeah, but it's really not.
They're thinking from an adult mind, and we're thinking from a childlike mind of innocence and loveliness, and really deeply appreciating the children for who they are and what they're doing. And yeah, I don't know, it's just so nice because the playground's like right over there. You can see them swinging and sliding down a slide, and it's really nice.
Let's go get some plant-based food for lunch.
Okay.
Bye.